My name is KJSechrist. This is my case study for EDL856, School and Community Relations. What's happening here is that the principal is concerned about the new PTA that has been formed. One of the main reasons that he's concerned about it is because they have discontinued their affiliation with the national organization. The previous PTA had been a positive force at the school and did a lot of positive things for both him and the school community. And so he's a little concerned about what the new PTA is going to bring. And I felt that the PTA had a really important role before to play in the school programs. And he could always count on them for their support. The PTA did not seem unhappy, except to say that they were concerned about their lack of involvement. The PTA met with an administration, met without administration at an unofficial meeting, and it was decided that the PTA wanted to change some things, including the traditional programs, and furthermore wanted to be equal partners with the school administration. And so really what the PTA wants is they want involvement in decision-making and policy-making processes. They want school-sponsored back-to-school meetings each evening of the week and parent-teacher conferences during the American Education Week with teachers giving presentations. And they want to be able to set up committees, and they want to be more involved in the decision-making and policy-making of the school. There's some legal and ethical issues that came to mind right away. The first one is what's the Board of Education policy in this, because the Board of Education really needs to set the precedent. There's also some FERPA issues. Couple of the committees involved students and discipline issues, and it's not allowed for anybody else to see those discipline issues except for the school administration, possibly the teachers involved. And so there would be possible FERPA violations. The next thing would be the teacher and contract days. They want them to kind of have them work beyond their contract days, and that includes some evening activities. I know where I work in Wichita, we're required to be there by our contract 3 evenings during the school year, and those have been kind of specified. And in this situation, the teachers would be required to be there for evening activities beyond probably what their contract says. And then finally, the issue of the district administrator, whether that's your assistant superintendent or depending on how large your school district is, like Wichita, your director or the superintendent. But the question would just come up would be like, what would the superintendent involvement be in this situation? So the synthesis is that in an effort to support the school, a newly formed parent-teacher association has the goal of becoming involved on a broader scale in the operations of the school. The officers of the PTA have approached the school principal and let him know their proposal, which was decided at an unofficial meeting. So here are the facts. The people involved, there are some known and unknown. The first is the principal that's known is the principal, the young lawyer that is the president. It also mentions other PTA officers and members that we know about through this scenario. The unknown is the Board of Education and what their involvement is in this situation. Possibly some of the members of the PTA are on the board, possibly not. We just don't know. We don't know anything about the district administrator, so that would be the superintendent or any assistants. And then we don't know anything of parents that are not in PTA and what their involvement would be, or whether they would even be in favor of some of the things that the PTA is proposing. And so those are unknowns for the people. The place, what we know is that there's a school that's involved here, And we know that the principal's office has been used to have a meeting with the PTA president and the PTA officers where they presented the proposal. Things that we don't know is that the PTA's meeting place for the unofficial meeting outside of the school. We also don't know why they wanted to meet, but we also don't know the type of school, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, whether it's a private or public institution, or whether it is a rural or urban school, and we just really don't know how big the school is. The program that we know, both the PTA and the principal want student success. They both want the students to do well. They both want the school to look good. And so the goal, the thing that they can agree on here is that both the PTA and the principal want the students to succeed. The principal in the past has been supportive of PTA, and vice versa. The PTA has been really supportive of the principal. The current PTA is really well organized, and they've set up some things at their meetings. Some of the committees that they really would like to have aren't necessarily bad ideas, but we don't know if they are legal. I guess my gut says no, they're not legal right away, but just getting that across to the PTA is going to be the trick. And the last thing that we know is that the PTA, they want more power throughout the school. The unknown is what prompted the PTA to want to become overly involved and kind of get out of their lane a little bit and get into what the school administrators would be doing. We don't really know what prompted them to want to be more involved in the school. The stakeholders here, the principal, the PTA, that's newly formed. There's the young attorney and the president of the PTA. And then other stakeholders would be the BOE, the district administration, and then ultimately the students that would be affected by whatever's decided by the principal. So here's some options and possible consequences. Option 1 would be to make no decision and take no action. There are some things to the right there. So if no decision is made, there might be possible consequences for the principal, the district, and the Board of Education. On the flip side, the PTA members would be happy because they're getting what they want. Option 2 is the most comprehensive or liberal action, and that's to give in to the demands of the PTA. So basically, you'd be turning the school over to the PTA. There'd be some FERPA violations. You'd have some upset teachers, and you'd have possible violation of teacher contracts. And then option 3 would be to identify several solutions, to continue to work with the stakeholders to let them know what needs to happen moving forward. So there would be some improvement in communication with stakeholders, work with the PTA to reorganize the events during that communication, work with staff to find other solutions to meet the students' needs, and there would be no legal violations. So just in evaluating the options here, make no decision, take no action. The con of that would be possible future consequences for the district because of some of the legal and ethical violations that would be taking place. The pro, I guess, would be that the principal can sit back and do nothing. He wouldn't have to really lead or do anything as far as running the school. The second thing is give in to the demands of the PTA. And that the con would be that there would be possible FERPA violations, possible teacher contract violations, and so we wouldn't want to just give in to those demands. The pro would be that the parents are going to do your work for you and as you relinquish power, and so I guess a con to that statement would be that as the building leader, you would be losing power by just giving in to the demands. And so the last thing here would be work with the PTA for appropriate involvement. The con is that this takes a lot of time, that not all stakeholders may agree with the choice or want to give up their newly found power that they've gained. And then the pro to that would be that it avoids legal action and contract violations. And then the other thing with working with the parents to come up with better back-to-school nights would be that the back to school night would meet the needs of the parents. And so the best option here is that we need to really train PTA for appropriate involvement and work with them and staff to improve communication and to reorganize the events that they're concerned about. So the plan for doing this would be that we would meet with the PTA president, who is the young lawyer who really seems like a go-getter, and if you could take his energy and get it kind of pushed down the right path, then he would really be an asset to the school. He just has to be able to know where his lane is and kind of stay in his lane as the PTA president. The brief, you really need to talk to the district administration about the situation and let them know what's going on to see if they have any insight and can help you as far as getting kind of the PTA to be back in their lane. You really need to meet with PTA and brainstorm ways to improve the school activities and kind of use the energy that they have in a positive way to help the school. Both the school and the PTA need to seek better communication and not have any unofficial meetings where the school administrators are not invited to. And then lastly would be to invite PTA members to the Board of Ed meetings and possibly to site council so that they can kind of get involved in the school and use the energy that they have in a positive way. So in response to the standards that are listed there, the two things I would say was just that communicating effectively with stakeholders creates a bond which leads to success for all students, and cultivating relationships with diverse stakeholders leads to success for all involved. So it would be, as far as the component 5.2 there, just making sure that you communicate effectively, that they kind of understand where they're at and what their job is and what your job is as a school leader. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate that, and hope that you stay safe and keep your distance.